We live in a 24/7 society. We're consumers with an ever-deepening environmental footprint. The Bible says to work for 6 days and rest on the seventh. But what does that mean? Today, we're going to talk to a Jewish rabbi, David Kirshef. He explains how we can back off from our busy lives and how the Jewish people invented the weekend. In an interesting irony, rest takes work. On this edition of Living Your Faith.
An American society doesn't have a Sabbath, and we're a 7-day society. We have a weekend, but on the weekend you are really expected or invited to do things, to see movies, go out to eat, go to the beach, go skiing. It's all of this pressure to be a consumer 7 days a week is it means that it's very countercultural to be a traditionally observant Sabbath keeper, Jewish or not. At the beginning of Genesis, in chapter 1, the beginning of chapter 2, where the Sabbath is first introduced, there's a verse which seems to imply that God did something on the seventh day. It's chapter 2, verse 2. On the seventh day, God finished the work that he had been doing, which to Jewish commentators is a little bit puzzling because we thought that God finished the work on the sixth day, so what's God doing on the seventh day? And there are a couple different responses proposed, but I think the one that's most relevant here is that rest has to be created. And rest isn't natural. There's a book called The Gifts of the Jews, in which the author proposes that the weekend was an invention of the Israelites. The world didn't know a weekend before the Hebrew Bible. So the concept of the Sabbath in Jewish tradition then is trying, rather than to use our time to impose our will on the natural world and make the natural world work for us, in manufacturing or selling, or buying, whatever it is that we do. Filming is changing the state of electrons on a magnetic medium, right? So instead of imposing that will on the world, we take a step back and try to reduce our footprint on the world and let the state remain as it is and just exist within the world for a day. I read an email discussion of some people who were not yet fully Sabbath observant, but beginning to integrate it into their lives. They have children. Right? So what they were saying is they want to observe the Sabbath, but the kids have birthday parties, and then they have to pick something up for school the next day, for Sunday school or for school on Monday. They have to. There are always things that come up. They have to buy something, so they have the best intentions, but it just doesn't quite happen. Once you get into the habit of saying that this day on my calendar nothing will happen, it's like cutting yourself loose, and you're free not to do anything. And once you get used to being free not to do anything, it's the most liberating experience you can imagine. I was in New York a couple of weeks ago walking through Central Park, and I saw loads of young religious kids in Central Park playing baseball, because there's no inherent breaking of that status of nature in playing baseball, so that wasn't one of those things that was prohibited. I mean, games, having fun, things like that were, other than spending money for entertainment, those things are permitted. So when I think about my strongest Shabbat memories, it's just being with friends and singing and maybe taking walks, I do also like to rest and take naps on Saturday afternoon after a long morning and a nice lunch. It's nice to be able to sleep a little bit too. When you go into your home and the first thing you do is turn on the radio, turn on the television, put on your iPod, get in the car, you turn on the radio. You're always surrounding yourself with visual and auditory distraction. Okay? That's how we live our lives. With multitasking. If you're not doing 3 things at the same time, then you're clearly not being very efficient. Sabbath, that comes to a screeching halt. Right? There's no multitasking. There's no stimulation around you. There's no artificial stimulation around you. So what you lose by losing the Sabbath is that time to be inside yourself without any distractions. And Abraham Joshua Heschel, a wonderful 20th century theologian, talked about the Sabbath being a palace in time. You move into this sacred space just to be for one day out of every 7. The other 6 days you do, but that one day you be.